There is a strange problem with modern life. We have more tools than ever before, more information than any generation before us, more ways to communicate, more ways to learn, more opportunities, and more choices. Yet, somehow, so many of us feel that we have less time than ever. We wake up in the morning already thinking about what needs to be done. Before we even get out of bed, our phones are waiting for us. Messages, notifications, emails, news, videos, work, responsibilities, and before the day has even properly started, our attention has already been divided into 10 different directions. Then the day begins. We work on one thing, interrupt ourselves to check something else, answer a message, return to the first task, remember another responsibility, open another tab, check the phone again, and suddenly hours have disappeared. We look back and think, I was busy all day. So why don't I feel accomplished? That question is at the heart of an idea that can completely change the way you approach productivity. Maybe you don't need to do more. Maybe you need to do less. Welcome to Volume and Vision. Today, we're exploring the powerful philosophy behind Leo Babauta's The Power of Less, a way of thinking that challenges one of the biggest assumptions of modern productivity, that more effort, more goals, and more activity automatically lead to better results. They don't. Sometimes, the fastest way forward is to stop carrying things that were never necessary in the first place. Think about your attention as if it were a small amount of water. You can pour that water into one plant and help it grow. Or you can sprinkle a few drops over 20 different plants and wonder why none of them are thriving. Your attention works in a similar way. You have a limited amount of it every day. The problem is that the world is constantly asking for more. More replies, more meetings, more content, more achievements, more purchases, more commitments, more goals. And because saying yes feels productive, we keep adding. But every addition has a cost. A new goal takes attention. A new possession takes space. A new app takes mental space. A new commitment takes time. A new project takes energy. Eventually, your life becomes crowded, not necessarily with important things, but with things that seemed important when you said yes to them. This is why simplicity is not about having an empty life. It's about having a life where the important things have enough room to breathe. Imagine a student named Rohan. Rohan wants to improve his career, so he decides to learn programming. Then he hears that data science is valuable, so he adds data science. Someone tells him cybersecurity has great opportunities, so he adds cybersecurity. Then he starts learning artificial intelligence. Then he joins an online course about communication. Then another course about investing. Soon, his bookmarks are full. His notebook is full. His hard drive is full. His plans are full, but his actual progress is almost invisible. Every subject gets a little attention. Nothing gets enough attention. Now imagine Rohan makes one decision. For the next few months, he will focus primarily on becoming good at one thing. Suddenly, his life becomes simpler. He knows what to study. He knows what to ignore. He knows what today's work is connected to. And most importantly, he can see his progress. Nothing magical happened. He simply stopped dividing himself into too many pieces. This is one of the most important lessons of the philosophy of less. You cannot give your best to everything. And accepting that fact is actually liberating. You don't have to become excellent at everything. You don't have to pursue every opportunity. You don't have to respond to every message immediately. You don't have to attend every event. You don't have to buy everything that looks useful. You don't have to say yes simply because someone asked. Your life becomes more powerful when you become selective. So the first question to ask is not, what else should I add? What can I remove? Look around your room. Maybe there are clothes you haven't worn in 2 years. Maybe there are books you bought but never read. Maybe there are boxes sitting in a corner because you might need them someday. Maybe there are objects that have become part of your environment simply because you've forgotten they are there. Now look at your digital world. How many apps are installed on your phone? How many notifications are turned on? How many files are sitting on your computer? How many subscriptions are you paying for? How many channels are you following? How many browser tabs are permanently open? Digital clutter is strange because we can't physically see most of it. But our brains still deal with it. Every notification is an invitation to interrupt yourself. Every unread message creates a tiny open loop. Every unnecessary app creates another source of distraction. And when hundreds of these small things accumulate, your mind rarely feels completely quiet. That's why simplifying your environment can be surprisingly powerful. You don't need to become obsessed with minimalism. Just remove what you don't need. Delete the applications you haven't used in months. Turn off notifications that aren't important. Unsubscribe from emails you never read. Clean your desktop. Organize your files. Put unnecessary objects away. And notice what happens. The room feels different. The phone feels quieter. Your mind may feel slightly lighter. And that small feeling of clarity can make it easier to concentrate on the things that actually matter. But physical clutter is only the beginning. The more dangerous form of clutter is invisible. It's the clutter of commitments. Think about how often you say yes without really thinking. Someone asks for your help. Yes. Someone invites you somewhere. Yes. Someone suggests another project. Yes. Someone needs you to attend another meeting. Yes. Someone wants you to join another group. Yes. None of those individual decisions seems dangerous. But eventually, your calendar becomes a prison built from your own yeses. This is why learning to say no is one of the most valuable productivity skills you can develop. And saying no doesn't mean becoming selfish. It means recognizing that your time has limits. Imagine that tomorrow someone gives you an extra 10 hours. Would you suddenly have enough time? Probably not. You would simply find 10 more things to fill those hours. That's because the problem is often not the amount of time. It's the number of demands competing for it. So when someone asks you to take on something new, pause. Don't immediately answer. Ask yourself, does this support something important in my life? Do I actually have the capacity for it? What will I have to sacrifice if I accept? And if I say yes, will I still have enough energy for the things that already matter? That final question is powerful. Because saying yes to something new often means saying no to something you already care about. Suppose you agree to spend every evening helping with a project you don't really need to be involved in. You may think you're simply helping someone. But perhaps the hidden cost is your exercise, your study time, your family time, your sleep, your personal project, your peace of mind. Every yes carries a hidden no. Once you understand that, you become much more careful about what you accept. And when you do say no, you don't need a dramatic explanation. You can simply say, I appreciate the opportunity, but I can't take this on right now. That's enough. You don't have to apologize for having limits. You don't have to create an elaborate excuse. And you don't have to feel guilty for protecting your priorities. Because your priorities cannot protect themselves. You have to protect them. Now here's where things become even more interesting. Most people don't have too few goals. They have too many. Write down your goals right now. You might find a surprisingly long list. Get fit, earn more money, learn a new language, read more books, start a business, learn coding, travel, improve your relationships, wake up early, meditate, learn investing, build a personal brand, and perhaps 20 more. There's nothing wrong with wanting these things. The problem is expecting yourself to pursue all of them with equal intensity. Imagine trying to drive 5 cars at the same time. It doesn't matter how motivated you are. You're not going anywhere. Goals can work the same way. You need direction. Instead of asking, how can I accomplish everything? Ask, what matters most right now? Not forever. Right now. Maybe this year is about your career. Maybe the next few months are about your health. Maybe this season of your life is about your education. Another season might be about family. Your priorities can change. You don't need to permanently choose one thing and ignore everything else. You simply need to decide what deserves the front seat at this moment. Once you choose that priority, something remarkable happens. Decisions become easier. If an activity supports your priority, it deserves consideration. If it constantly pulls you away from it, you have a reason to question it. Your schedule becomes clearer. Your goals become clearer. Even your distractions become easier to recognize. This is what focus really means. Focus isn't simply concentrating harder. Focus is deciding what doesn't deserve your attention. And that may be one of the hardest skills to develop today. Because the modern world is designed to keep presenting you with something new. Another video, another notification, another trend, another piece of information, another thing you supposedly need to know. If you chase everything, You eventually become an expert at being distracted. The solution is not to know everything. The solution is to know what matters to you. Think about a photographer. A good photographer doesn't try to make every object in the scene equally important. They choose the subject. Then they frame the shot around it. Your life needs the same kind of framing. Choose the subject. Then let everything else become background. Now consider your daily work. Many people begin their day by asking, "What should I do?" A better question might be, "What is the one thing that would make today meaningful if I completed it?" That question forces you to choose. Maybe it's finishing an important assignment. Maybe it's completing a difficult section of your project. Maybe it's having a serious conversation with someone you love. Maybe it's exercising. Maybe it's preparing for an important interview. Whatever it is, identify it. Then give it your best attention. Not your leftover attention, your best attention. Because there is a huge difference between doing something while constantly checking your phone and doing the same thing with complete concentration. When you focus deeply, you don't just work faster. You understand better. You remember more. You make fewer mistakes. And you often finish with less exhaustion. This is why multitasking is so deceptive. It feels productive because you're doing many things. But activity is not the same as progress. Imagine trying to read a book while answering messages every few minutes. You may spend an hour sitting with the book. But how much did you actually absorb? Now imagine reading for 30 uninterrupted minutes. The second session may produce far more value. Less time, better attention, better result. That's the principle, not more, better. And this principle can be applied to almost every area of life. Instead of 10 half-finished projects, complete one. Instead of constantly collecting information, apply something you've already learned. Instead of buying another productivity tool, use the tools you already have. Instead of creating an enormous to-do list, identify the few tasks that genuinely matter. Instead of trying to optimize every minute, protect the minutes that matter most. Because productivity isn't about filling every empty space. Sometimes productivity means leaving an empty space. An empty evening, an uninterrupted morning, a quiet walk, a meal without your phone, a few minutes when you're not consuming anything. These moments may look unproductive from the outside, but they give your mind room to recover. And a tired mind doesn't become more productive simply because you give it more tasks. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is stop. This brings us to the deeper meaning of minimalism. Minimalism isn't really about furniture. It isn't about having a certain kind of room. It isn't about owning exactly 30 objects. It's about intention. Before something enters your life, ask whether it deserves to be there. Before you accept a commitment, ask whether it deserves your time. Before you pursue a goal, ask whether it deserves your energy. Before you consume information, ask whether it deserves your attention. And before you complain about not having enough time, ask where your time is currently going. These questions create a filter. And a good filter is incredibly valuable. Because the world will always offer you more than you can handle. Your job is not to accept everything. Your job is to choose. You can even apply this philosophy to shopping. Before buying something, wait. Don't immediately purchase it simply because you want it. Give yourself a day. If you still genuinely need it, consider buying it. If the desire disappears, you've just saved money and avoided adding another object to your life. The same principle works with digital consumption. When you see an interesting video, you don't have to watch it. When you see a new course, you don't have to buy it. When someone recommends a book, you don't have to immediately add it to your reading list. You are allowed to ignore good things. That's important, because not everything good is good for you right now. A great opportunity at the wrong time can still become a distraction. A useful course can still be unnecessary if you're already studying something important. A wonderful book can still wait. A good project can still be the wrong project. This is where simplicity becomes a form of discipline. You aren't rejecting things because they are bad. You're rejecting them because something else matters more. And that is a much stronger reason. So if you want to start practicing the power of less, don't attempt a complete life transformation tonight. Start small. Choose one area: your phone, your room, your schedule, your goals, your commitments, your spending, your work. Then ask one question: what can I remove? Remove one unnecessary thing. Then observe how it feels. Tomorrow, remove another. Slowly, you'll begin to notice something. The goal isn't actually to have less. The goal is to have enough space for what matters. Enough space to think, enough space to focus, enough space to work, enough space to rest, enough space for people, enough space for yourself. And perhaps that is the most valuable lesson of all. We spend so much of life trying to add things because we believe happiness is somewhere ahead. One more achievement, one more purchase, one more skill, one more promotion, one more milestone. But sometimes happiness isn't waiting for us in the next edition. Sometimes it appears when we finally remove the noise that was preventing us from noticing what we already have. So tonight, before you sleep, look at your life differently. Don't ask, what else can I do? Ask, what can I stop doing? Don't ask, what else should I buy? Ask, what do I already have that is enough? Don't ask, how can I fit more into my day? Ask, what deserves the best part of my day? And don't ask, how can I become everything? Ask, what is worth becoming? Because your attention is your life in miniature. Where your attention repeatedly goes, your life gradually follows. Give it to everything, and everything gets a piece of you. Give it deliberately to what matters, and your life begins to take shape around those choices. That is the real power of less. Not doing less because you don't care. Doing less because you care deeply about the right things. Not having less because you cannot have more. Having less because you have finally learned that more is not always better. Not chasing fewer dreams. Choosing the dreams that deserve to be chased. And not living a smaller life. Creating enough space to live a more meaningful one. If this idea changed the way you think about productivity, don't try to apply everything at once. Choose one thing, one distraction, one commitment, one unnecessary possession, one goal that doesn't belong on your priority list anymore. Remove it, then look at what remains. You may discover that the life you were trying so hard to build was already there underneath the clutter. You simply needed to clear some space to see it. This is Volume and Vision. If you enjoyed this summary, subscribe for more practical ideas from powerful books that can help you think better, work smarter, and live with greater clarity. And remember, you don't need to give your attention to everything. You only need to give your best attention to what matters most. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep choosing what deserves your time.